What's up, everybody?
Hello.
I say everybody like there's people in there and there's nobody in there.
Yeah,
That's okay.
wishful thinking.
You'll be here. It is a live edition, VD edition of Fight the Fear podcast.
VD?
Over here on Collecting with Cool's channel.
They make shots for that.
Yep, they do. But while we're waiting for some folks to come in, anybody that's catching the replay here, there's a phone number that I've got pinned to the top. You can call in. Give us anything you want to talk about. Urban legends, lore, something on your mind, a freaky event that might have happened in your life, ghosts, goblins, googly goos, UFOs, anything.
Right.
Give it to us.
Encounters.
But until we get there, I like
snatching.
encounters. I think that was a porno in the 80s, Encounters. We're going to have some of the world's most expensive orange cello.
Nice.
In the meantime.
Excellent.
We'll do a little shooter. It's got some proofs to it.
Sweet. I like it.
From Beer Church up in Michigan here. Let's show it. We're not, we don't have a sponsor yet. So, hey, we're going to keep pushing.
We'll keep working on it.
Keep pushing. Drink responsibly.
Yes. Don't spill any.
That's all right.
Don't drink and drive for real, though.
Oh, you might hit a bump. Spill it.
All right. Cheers.
Cheers.
Happy V-Day.
VD Day.
Wouldn't that be Valentine's Day?
Woo! Definitely citrus. Wow. It's Orangecello.
It's
80 proof.
Yeah,
kick.
you
Nice
can
little kick.
you can clean wounds with that.
Yeah. Wow. I'm gonna have some mosquito repellent here.
There you go.
A little Tanqueray.
Yeah. We're using for juice.
I just got some zero sugar Sprite. Kick on the chat here. Okay.
Got the good old Miller Lite.
There you go.
Take that, Shane Gillis.
Bud Light.
Yeah.
I drink the Bud Light.
Yeah, you would.
Well, you gave it to me. All right. Get rid of that. So anyway.
Where do you want to start?
VD. No. Venereal Day. No, Valentine's Day. Yeah. Is what it is. Aliens. Memory chips. We got this story about the memory chip pulled up here. I'm going to put it on screen.
Yeah, we'll start there. Give
then,
the people what they want.
Pull that up, and then later I want to talk about a vision I had. I don't know if we want to call it a vision, a dream, a vivid dream. I'll let you guys decide. It's a wild one.
Okay, buckle up.
So this article I saw today, this is on Tech Radar. An eternal 5D memory crystal capable of storing 360 terabytes of data for billions of years now holds a full human genome.
Wow.
Specialized skills and advanced equipment are needed for data inscription and retrieval. But I would think an advanced civilization that found this thousands of years from now would probably be able to extract it.
Yeah. I don't even know what that means, but it sounds impressive.
Yeah. It caught my eye because I think I said this to you before. Like, I remember reading about crystals, like a literal crystal, long little crystal, like in a necklace. And they would say in the very tip of that crystal, you could hold a lifetime's worth of data. Like, you could record every day of every moment of your life on this crystal. And when you pass, hand that down to somebody and they could literally watch 24/7 video of your life. And I had just always read, like, some of that was technology when they created like the compact discs for audio and things like that. You're getting a ton of audio and a ton of files onto a flat piece of, it's almost like a paper, a metallic paper. It's so thin, you know. Anyway, I just made the off comment one day that someday they'll get a crystal that'll be able to hold your whole life on it. We were talking about cloning and different things like that.
Right.
And then I still think this leads into the chip in the brain Or it's like you'll have an audio jack hanging out of your head and you can plug into it, or some way of, where they bump phones and it gives your info. We can do something like that and trade memories or experiences, and you'll see it vividly in your mind as if you experienced it.
Right.
I feel like that's coming. That's on the way.
Until somebody higher up decides they're going to lower your bandwidth, and then
it could be.
Then you just lost 50 IQ points.
The big currency right now, I think, that everybody has to be aware of is information.
Mm-hmm.
To know what your habits are, what your choices are like. We can put those in a big calculator and figure out that you want this particular sweater at this time of year.
Yeah.
And you want this particular fun little device at this time of the year. That's how the algorithms play. And it's our phones listen to us. We have a conversation. You open your phone and now it's got lawnmowers on my feed. What the hell? Exactly. That's really what it's about. And that'll only grow in time to where now that, they've said TVs that have the, can listen. Some of them have cameras for, like, you can do like a Zoom call on your TV. It can listen and pick up ads and all this different stuff. So, like, we can be watching the same program at 2 different locations, but each of us get different commercials based on what this machine has gleaned of us,
right,
and put into that great amalgamator in the sky.
It's like the Minority Report.
Yes,
it's individualized advertisements.
They're only going to want that to get closer and closer and closer to your physical DNA. Mm-hmm. To be inside you is the next step somehow. How can I get into this person's head, literally? How can I implant into their brain so that they can just even think it, and we can send them that ad?
So what about the next step beyond that, where they're not waiting for you to even conjure that thought? They're making your thoughts, or they're guiding your thoughts. So it's not even,
I'm sure they would love to,
what you really maybe would have chose, but it's no different.
Based on the information, they could put it together to basically tell you your own sort of fiscal future, your economic future somewhat. Yeah.
But it's not even like just the ads you see on TV. I wasn't even hungry until I seen the Taco Bell commercial, and now I want some nachos.
Yeah.
But they can do that inside your head.
And then with the new quadcopter AMD processor or whatever it is, you'll have a box in the kitchen that when you hit the buy button, it'll transfer it through space and time.
Right.
And you'll open it up and there's a hot, fresh taco.
Yeah.
Ready to go.
Like the Jetsons, right?
Yes. It's coming, man. It's coming.
So think about this, like with the quantum computing, right? They say that, this quantum computer can perform in just a few minutes what it would take every computer ever known for the rest of history, and it couldn't even do it as quick as the quantum computer, or couldn't do as much in that billion years of computing versus the quantum computer.
And they've recently achieved teleportation with data, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
So we're on the cusp. We talked about this before, like how long it took us to get here, how long it took, people to get the technology of what's inside the Great Pyramids and things like that. And it just keeps shrinking and shrinking and shrinking. And we think, and we looked at what were people saying 100 years ago about 2025. Now, what are we saying about 2125? And I'm like, I don't think it's going to be 2125. It might be like 2055,
right?
2060. There's going to be some leap. It's not going to be 100 years. It's going to be 30 and then 10 and then 5. And then every year it's going to be like the iPhone. We got this new thing.
But
plug in.
Let me finish this thought. So the concept is with the addition of the quantum computing, they should be able to capture all the knowledge that's ever been in the history of the world, and probably even predict stuff in the future. If you could put that on a chip and one person can have all that in their mind, would it make them the greatest person that ever lived, or would it fry your mind? Like to just think of all the knowledge that's ever existed, boom, it's instantly downloaded into your brain via the Neuralink or whatever it is.
Well, let's just say let's come back to this chip that's on screen here, and let's just say one chip represented, you know, everything that Einstein ever did. Just one, right?
Right.
And then one was everything Tesla ever did, and then one was like nuclear science. Let's just say one subject on each one, right?
Sure.
So like everything
that's ever been known, proven.
You could either access it or you could plug into it somehow, and then the output, the outcome, I don't know how you would be able to raise your own intelligence to a level to understand it, to utilize it, to use it, but there could be pieces of it all that that great computer in the sky, you could say, hey, I want this, and it could say, hold on a minute, and it could say, please enter the chip for Einstein, blah blah blah, and you put those in its big mother system, and it could just go through there and give you exactly what you asked for.
Right.
And that would be you'd be able to achieve things greater than any moment in time, period. Like we talked about the cloning of organs to help save someone's life. Like, I don't even think ethically they allow that right now. But that thing could be like, oh, you need new lungs? Here you go. Psst. 3 minutes later, it comes out of the oven. Hot, ready to go. Hot and ready. So that would be the tie-in of putting the knowledge on something that it could be deciphered from, and then something that could read it, understand it, and execute from it. So the input would simply be that the human imagination could basically have a limit. And it could do things that would outthink humans at some point, or outcreate. Because you could only think up something, you know what I mean? Like you could go to this, you could take 15 of these chips from the world's greatest minds, all the history and different things, and you would just go to that computer and say, I would like to have a flying gizmo of some sort, you know, and it'd say, that's it. Here you go. It would have it done before you even got the words out of your mouth.
But if you integrated that into the human body, into the human
I don't know if you could.
I don't know.
I don't even know if you could, if you even had access like that. It would have to be where you just give it requests and it gives you responses.
Like you
couldn't control it.
Right. You wouldn't spontaneously know everything that's ever existed.
No, because that new quantum processor we referred to is so fast and vast and like basically bigger than the brain, the mind, whatever. I don't think you could keep up. You would just have to ask for things. And it would really eliminate the need for, I wouldn't say original thought, but like if you were like a math genius and you could only get so far to figure something else out, it would be like your friend, and you'd be like, hey,
but look at it this way.
What if you could you help me solve this? And it would say, I already solved that twice. What are you talking about? I saw it on the paper before you even asked.
Yeah, I don't know if the human mind can support all that knowledge.
No,
you'd be like,
not that fast.
Just because you can pull up the facts, would you even comprehend what you're saying? It'd be like the Scarecrow in the Wizard of Oz. All of a sudden, he has all these, you know, solving equations, but he don't know how he did it. It just
right.
I could.
It'd be like that
trivia, but would I understand?
It'd be like you would be able to access the answer, not necessarily know how
understand it and implement it.
So I think it would be more or less where you would have this chip reader in the house, or you would have, let's just say 15 of these could have all the world's knowledge in it. Okay, let's just say 15. They would be in a central place somewhere like the internet. And instead of having to type it in and ask, you'd have your little link set up. You could just audibly say, hey, computer.
It's just Google on steroids.
Or call it God. Hey, God. Because obviously somebody's going to get hypocritical at some point. You know? Or Hal. Hey, Hal. Can I create nuclear fission? Oh, look in the microwave. Oh, there it is. I already did it. Here it is. Good and bad. And that could create the need for maybe some gatekeeping, because people could use it for nefarious reasons.
But then who's the gatekeepers?
I don't know that.
That's the problem.
But there could be some unethical things happen. You know, you could see the schemes going on with people with crypto
Yeah.
They want to do a pump and dump, and then they want to get mad and blame the person who created the pump and dump when the only reason to even fucking invest is to jump on the pump and dump so you get your money.
Why wouldn't people do that?
So people, like, right now they're talking about the Haktua girl, and they're like, do you really think she knew what she was doing when these dudes said, hey, let's make a Haktua coin?
Right.
Okay.
Sure. And she thought she was going to get rich.
The whole game, everybody knew. Everybody knew. I jump in. Yeah. It's like an IPO of a stock. I jump in when it comes out. It goes through the roof. I fucking sell right away and I get out.
People are just mad they didn't do it first.
Exactly.
Right.
So get off of her. And I do not think she could think of that herself. No offense to her. I'm sure she's a lovely girl. I'd really like to experience the Haktua, but all jokes aside, I don't think she had the time to figure out a pump and dump scheme on coins.
Sure.
So anyway,
merchandising, one thing. Hey, let's make t-shirts. Let's make hats. I can make some money.
People already were, without her permit. But anyway, that was just my closest example to like things you could nefariously do with this data or this machine that would answer all this. And it's like, it's probably already there because this article even says right in the first line, special skills and advanced equipment are needed for inscription and retrieval.
Right.
You and I will never get the inscription and retrieval machine, but we could go to a facility, jack in, they plug us in, we give them some blood, the DNA, the secret is out that it actually does carry our memories and things.
Are you talking about the Matrix?
And you're in the Matrix. Because there are traits and things about us in our DNA. Like you said, I think you said before, like with twins, they know what each other's thinking and all these different things. And it's like, put that in this machine, put it on a disc. We'll call you when it's ready.
So with
pay chips, $99 a month and you can have access to some of the knowledge.
With the quantum computing though, it really, I mean, you and I are never going to see the consumer side of that. Or once we do, the advancements beyond that and the head start that people would have is so far beyond that. It's kind of like the Neuralink thing. The first, million people that get it are going to have such an advantage over the people that are like, I'm going to wait 5 years to do it.
Just like the internet. The first million people that had the internet could at least find a lot of things that you weren't even aware of.
Mm-hmm.
So in that sense, for sure, because you had let's just say a library of information available to you at the click of a button that a lot of people were like not even privy, weren't even aware of,
Mm-hmm.
It could be that kind of thing. But also we're getting into like the AR glasses, the augmented reality. So, you can put on these glasses and while you're walking around, you can see this stuff on a screen in your field of vision, like a heads up display in a sports car, to where you could be jacked in and right now you get the Google glasses and you can talk, hey, Google, show me whatever. And it pops up in your glasses.
Right.
This could be way more advanced, obviously, because it could be not only information, but also like, what's my heart rate? How's my vision doing today? Like you wouldn't even have to go to the doctor. Like, tell me what's going on. And it would give you all this information. Then it would store it on your chip. And then anytime you need a checkup, you just shoot Minority Report. You just grab the info and swipe it over to the doctor, whoever, or the great computer becomes the AI doctor.
My mind always goes to how are people going to manipulate this and cause harm, or you know what I mean?
With anything.
Sure.
How are they doing it right now with the internet thing? And then, you look at back to the coin thing, the blockchain thing. There's so many people exploiting that every day. It's not regulated. There's still cracks and crevices they can get in and out of that in between the regulations, there's ways. And that's where, back to what I said, the information is the currency. Mm-hmm. And it doesn't necessarily have to be
knowledge is power.
How many times a day you eat or jerk off or swim or exercise or whatever it is. It's just picking out every little nuance of your day-to-day life. Oh, you have a goldfish and you feed the goldfish. Here's an ad for the goldfish food. Here's an ad for the tank. Here's an ad for the filter. I didn't even think about that. I need that. Oh, just order it now. Just wink twice and it'll go, you got your new glasses on, just wink twice and it'll order it. And it's going to just become to where the ease of getting things becomes as simple as saying the words. Like we can put things on like on Amazon, for instance. For a long time, I was ordering dog food, and it was like a subscription, and it would come every X amount of weeks. But I had to tell it to do that. It'll become at some point, it's a thought. Hey, put that on my list. Order that Friday, and then you're just talking to something.
Yeah,
you're just talking to the wind, and at some point though, you won't even have to talk.
Yeah,
you'll just be like, "Oh yeah, forgot about that," and it'll just happen.
I've heard the discussion like many times recently with the invention or let's say the acceleration of AI, being able to predict things, compute things, just like the quantum computing. If we get to a point where everybody can read each other's thoughts, there could be no lying, there could be no hidden anything. I don't think that's such a good thing. I've heard it said that, it'd be great because it just eliminates lying. Nobody would be able to get one over on you. Nobody able to, get, there'd be no hiding. But how, you'd never have a private thought, never have a time alone, never have an introspection that somebody else can't, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
I don't necessarily think that's
or it would be where you either did it or you didn't do it, and then you were an outcast because you didn't, but they're not going to find me or whatever, let's see, just trying to look at some things here. It says here though, so the crystal, it says, unlike other formats that degrade over time, a 5D memory crystal can store up to 360 terabytes of information in the largest size without loss for billions of years, even at high temperatures. It holds the Guinness World Record, awarded in 2014 for the most durable data storage material. It is equivalent to fused quartz, one of the most chemically and thermally durable materials on Earth. It can withstand high and low extremes of freezing, fire, and temperatures up to 1,000 centigrade. It can withstand direct impact force up to 10 tons per centimeter squared, and is unchanged by long exposure to cosmic radiation. You can put this thing in space.
Wow.
Ultra fast lasers precisely inscribe data into the nanostructured voids, orientated with silica. Mr. B, what's up, buddy?
I can't even understand that. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
like comprehend how you can get so much information on such a tiny thing and how it's even done, let alone read.
Some of the sizes where they put the data is as small as 20 nanometers. So I can't even imagine what that is. It says, unlike marking on the surface of a 2D piece of paper or magnetic tape, this method of encoding uses 2 optical dimensions and 3 spatial coordinates to write throughout the material, which gives it a 5D nature.
So here's maybe one way to comprehend it. If you take a sheet of paper and you look at it from the side view, the width of that paper, you could write the entire encyclopedia on the width of that piece of paper.
Yeah. So they created a 5D memory crystal, containing the full human genome. It was approximately 3 billion letters in genome. Each letter was sequenced 150 times to make sure that it was in correct position. And it was done in partnership with Helix Work Technologies. The crystal is stored in the Memory of Mankind Archive, a special time capsule in a salt cave in Austria.
Wow.
So this is just one they've been messing with for the last 10 years.
So let's go specifically to this one. What do you think the end application could be? Like they mapped the entire human genome, right? Which means you have the blueprints to create a human. Do you think that can be downloaded somehow and turned into a living cell that then splits and splits and splits and becomes some sort of 3D printing of a human?
It says here they have like a key, and the key gives you the breakdown of all the elements so that you could eventually restructure to see what it makes up for DNA and how the genes are positioned into a chromosome, which then could be made chemically and inserted into a cell.
Okay.
And then from that,
so
split.
Some closely
it would basically
cell.
be like a recipe. Then you would take the recipe and go, okay, we're here now. What do we do with this material?
You have to have a little bit of carbon and a little bit of this, a little bit of that.
It says hydrogen, oxygen, carbon, nitrogen, adenine, cytosine, guanine, and thymine. And this thing has the breakdown of each one.
Wow.
And then you make it from this file and position it into a chromosome, which can then be inserted into a cell. So from there, you can make human life. So it's like we have talked about a great calamitous event with very little human life left,
right?
Having to rebuild, having to regain knowledge from basically almost nothing. We use what did we say? Like the farmer and the nuclear scientist, if they're 150 miles apart and something happens in between them,
they wouldn't be able to do each other's job.
They wouldn't be able to survive. Or the one guy could survive very rudimentary, the other guy couldn't. He was at a higher level of sort of thought, and maybe he'd last a while, but he's not durable. The guy that's durable can last but can't necessarily do this stuff. But eventually through reproduction, he's going to have a child, or there's going to be a child. Curiosity, experimentation, gaining of knowledge through finding historical artifacts and different things, and eventually get back to a level of knowledge that can finally grow. Right. And that's what I think we're at now. We're at this precipice where we've gotten, and you still miss things though. Like I mean, I've been watching all of these documentaries on the pyramids and things, and somebody agreed with John, who had said, it seems to be where there was some type of chemicals poured in to make a mixture to do something. And there's people that have said, yes, in these chambers, there's marks on the walls. There's a smell that there's no question a chemical was mixed here for some reason. And then they gave you another thing that went to another thing that went to another chamber that pushed out steam and made power or whatever it was. So maybe we don't have the right directions on how to do that, but then as we go on through time, people gain new perspectives and new ways of doing things. We talked about the guy, the Coral Castle. He used battery power to make a grid to make tools to power larger tools that took a not so, actually a malleable stone, and made these great things that people couldn't figure it out. It's like, well, I used engineering. I figured it out. There'll be people like that, and you'll just continue to gain knowledge from their experience and things like that. I think we're on this precipice now where we're moving into this sort of things that have been going on for the last 30 years are finally shaping up. And you've got the reactions in CERN and the energy and the genome and things like that. It's like it gets smaller and smaller. And at some point, it's going to get ingrained into it's going to go inside us at some point.
So they're making these chips. Let's just say they made a chip for every major field, science, technology, math.
As far as I know right now, it's just this one that houses quite a bit of it all.
Let's say in the next 20 years, they're able to load these chips, and then something happens. The big one hits Earth, or multiple. We're thrown back into the Stone Ages everywhere. It's a fight for survival every day. All you're trying to do is gather enough food and keep your family safe, and there's no electricity. There's no anything. There's like done.
Yeah.
How long is it until people even know what to do with that? If they find it at last, is it, 1,000 years, 10,000 years, 50,000 before people are even capable of, because who's to say who survives those first 20, 30, 50 years?
My thought on that is, like, let's say they say in 2032 this asteroid's going to hit, and it's a city destroyer but not an Earth destroyer, right? But let's just say, for argument's sake, it causes a winter that lasts for 3 years.
Right.
That's harsh.
No food grown.
That kills a lot of food. You can get some in some places.
Sure.
But distribution and things are cut off. So now your population just dwindles. So there are people that might have knowledge in how to do some of this stuff, but they have to survive in the meantime.
Mm-hmm.
So
if we're talking about the younger Dryas, though, where it kills all but
and
2% of the
and
human
even
life.
That though, like, we don't know if it happened in a day. We don't know if it happened in 24 months. Just like now, maybe we'd have the wherewithal to last a little longer. Right. You know what I mean?
And make sure you passed on the pertinent knowledge in order to,
and that's
not
just
drop
enough.
To here.
That's just enough to survive as a species,
right?
But not worry about all these technical things. Now, the other side of that would be, okay, you start to thaw out, you start to come out of it. You're kind of looking around. Somebody says, "Man, I need an easier way to get around. I got to carve a wheel. I know that's what we did. How do I do it?" And then they create a method.
Right.
It just becomes a method at that point. Now they got a new method of getting a wheel out of the side of a mountain with rock. And then, like, it just starts again.
Yeah. Interesting thought.
And then to get to the level where they go, "Oh yeah, we got these chips. What the hell do I care?"
And now we have to.
I don't care about an internet. I know there's a satellite up there now. Like, let's just, like I said, like in the next 20 years, and they're, "Hey, well, I know that's up there, but I can't even access it. There's nothing shooting back and forth anymore. Right. It's all destroyed here. It's all a waste."
We have to recreate the technology in order to even read what's on those chips.
Yeah. And by then, there could be a way to do these things land-based or sky-based versus upper atmosphere-based. It could just be, if I put this on a tower, I know how to get this wave to hear this other frequency. Mm-hmm. We've learned a lot of stuff, and there's people out there, I'm sure, every day playing with these things. It took specific ways to write files onto this that aren't normal. And from that, you could maybe pull off a piece of that to make, like, phone signals work better, or push a radio wave further, faster, cleaner. Ham radio operator guys. I knew one of my buddy's dads. He would have regular conversations with a guy in Australia, like they were right next to, like you and me, 3 feet away from each other. Sounded crystal clear, but it was because they knew what channel to tune into, what band, whatever. And, that's going to be where they find that little band, like you said, that goes into your head that kind of, I don't want to say mind control, because I don't want mind control, but I don't know what else to say. It's going to be pretty much like the power of suggestion. Like, yeah, you can fight it, but maybe you're a little loose one day and you wake up and you go, "Man, I'm kind of hungry for Denny's 3 over easy special today. Why am I so specific with this?" It's because a little ad came through your head,
Yeah.
It's going to be in our heads at some point, man. And we can fight it. And
maybe not our heads, but humanity.
Well, we can be old schoolers and boomerish and say that's the mark of the beast or whatever it is. But at the same time, too, it's just leaps in technology. Some of it can help humanity, and some of it can really screw us over. Where does the line drawn? Like you said, who are the gatekeepers? Who do we trust right now? Like who's got the little spigot? Because I mean, how do we have the internet and certain things to even be viewed are illegal, but at some point there's a dark web that you can access? Like, okay, why is that even in existence? You're telling me that you can't stop that.
Right.
Like, guys and girls, adults, let's say, can't look up certain things of a certain age, right? But yet, if I can find a way to access this dark web, I can go see all of it that I want.
Right.
How is that possible? Why is that? Why?
There has to be a power source. There has to be origination. Yeah. I mean,
you're telling me that a guy created that and just said, here's the gate to hell. Come on in if you want. You can leave anytime. And don't worry, nobody can catch us. We're good.
And is there only one gate? So I guess I'm totally naive. Like,
just look at the basics of the internet.
Where does the internet exist? Is there a internet button, an on-off switch?
Without looking it up, here's my basic understanding of the internet. Just in general, I'm just going to say the Google. I jokingly call it the Google because I punch in a question and I get an answer. The basic understanding that I have of that was that college, universities, and things wanted to do these things similar to this crystal. They wanted to have an amalgamator to compile information, a knowledge base, a database, and then create a way for you and I to access it. So that started out as using a modem. So it was like a phone connection, message boards, and then you would get locked in and be able to go into the files and everything. And then military or government or someone somewhere said, if you beam it up to a satellite, you can get it over there faster. We'll allow access that way. We'll allow traffic, kind of like the phones. So here's a guy in California who wants to send a message to a guy in New York, and it used to take 8 minutes. Then it got down to 2 minutes. And then if we do it through the satellite, it takes 2 milliseconds. That's my understanding of it, that we were just allowed to use these big server computers based at universities and things like that, and data centers or whatever they are now. We were able to use satellites to do it. And you would have to have an FCC type body approve that access for that transmission, like a phone call or whatever. My thing is, okay, then how is there a dark version of that? And how is it that you can't stop it? Because I've never accessed it. I've never even tried. But I know at least one person who has told me before that they have gone on to the dark web to purchase things with Bitcoin so that it's untraceable. And I'm like, well, dude, I don't believe anything's untraceable anymore. But okay, whatever you say, because I'm not.
I mean, what do you do? Do you go into Google and type in?
I don't know.
Dark web.
I don't know.
So it goes back to my question.
So let's look it up.
The original internet, the original. So basically, that's just a connection between computers, right, or devices or whatever. Does that exist somewhere? You said it at the very beginning, it was on somebody's hard drive or modem.
I thought that
right,
that was the whole thing about it was all about data. So you have a university that has data on horticulture, and it's, you know, science and experiments and information specific to that place. They want to share it with others, which normal shit. It used to be that you'd have to do a thing with the phones and they'd call each other and then you could access files and things. The advancements there were, what if we made that available to everybody and we use satellites to get it there faster?
Right.
You had to have a governing body say that's okay, it's approved.
So my question is there such a thing as an internet, or is there a whole bunch
all of that creates a net, a web sort of.
Right.
The internet.
So there's no way to shut down all of it. You can shut down a part of it, but there's still layer after layer.
It's
after
kind
layer.
of it's kind of a term for traffic, like the interstate,
right?
The internet.
So you could take 1 or 2 cars off, or 100 cars off, but there's still the ability. So basically, the internet is your Wi-Fi connection. Your ability to connect with it creates the internet. There is no internet, to speak of. The action is the internet.
Yeah. So I'm not going to show this on screen. I have Googled, how does one access the dark web? I didn't know we'd end up here, but hey, here we go. What is the dark web and how do you access it? So that's from 2024. To access it, you need an anonymizing browser. So it sounds like you have to be anonymous somehow. Most commonly Tor browser, which hides your web traffic by routing it through a series. Let's read it. This is from Norton. They're trusted. The Tor browser hides your web traffic by routing it through a series of decentralized nodes and special search engines designed to help you find those hidden sites. Dark websites use encryption software so their visitors and owners can remain anonymous. Millions of active users route their traffic through Tor each day. Many of these users are likely connecting to the dark web, often for legitimate reasons.
Sure.
So the only legitimate the only legitimate reason I could see is if you're just you just really are big on privacy and you don't want anybody tracking you and things like that for the ad thing that we talked about. But otherwise,
selling raw milk or unpasteurized eggs, man.
It says here, the dark web is used to host sites offering a myriad of goods and services, some of which are legal, while others fall into the realm of illegality.
Right.
Here are some examples. Drugs, weapons, stolen data, counterfeit currency, fake IDs and passports, malware and hacking tools, hackers for hire, stolen social security numbers. But a legitimate reason are memorabilia, collectibles, artisanal goods, wellness products, political forums, news sites. So I guess that would be that you don't want to be censored.
Mm-hmm.
Message boards for whistleblowers and journalists. Okay, so
if I say I have a collection of medieval armor at my house, but I don't want to go on Facebook Marketplace and let everybody know that I have it so they can come rob me.
Yeah.
You go on there anonymously and say, I've got these and I'll meet you in Central Park with them.
They're using the term dark web, and maybe that's not a good term anymore because it's actually got some good use. So maybe it should be like the alternative web or something.
The gray web.
Yeah, the gray, because it says there are legitimate reasons, you know.
Sure.
So what we're always on is the surface web. So like that's your Googles, your Yahoos, your Ask Jeeves, you know.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's called Quora now. It used to be Ask Jeeves. And I would also venture a guess that a lot of your deeper web or dark web doesn't deal with a lot of ads.
Mm-hmm.
Or because your regular web companies or search engine companies, Facebook allows ads based on the user.
Well, yeah, they rely on the user data, and if you're anonymous, there's no data.
And that's the thing on the dark web. They cut that out. So I guess that's one way to look at it. I always see it as something bad.
Sure,
just because it evokes something bad. But now that I see their stuff on, it's like, oh, okay, it has a use.
I'm still not going to go on there.
I don't know that I'm going to take the time to even bother. It seems like a process.
If I can't find it on the regular web, then I don't need it.
Yeah. So you have surface web, deep web, and dark web. I would say the thing that it said about selling stuff would be more like deep web, where you're avoiding the ads and the cookies and all that shit, and you're the ad. You know, you're putting it out there. I have no idea what any of that looks like. I'm assuming it's kind of like some kind of search engine that what do you fancy today? And then it just has like categories, I would guess, you know, like,
right.
According to some estimates, the deep web comprises 90% of the internet, while the dark web includes less than 0.01% of all online content. That's probably right. Because you figure if you looked up tractor for your lawn, you're going to find 100 brands, 150 websites, and the dark web might be how to steal one. And it's going to be two guys, you know.
Right.
Here's where we steal the designs and make our own.
Right. Yeah.
I just assume the dark web's always going to be bad.
That's my assumption.
I just don't see it being good. The deep web thing, I could understand people on there like a marketplace of some sort, but the dark web's where you're going to be like hiring like John Wick and stuff like that, hackers and that type of shit. Advantages and disadvantages of the dark web. The dark web provides anonymity, facilitates discrete communication and information access. However, it's unregulated and can foster illegal activities that pose significant risks to the user and organizations.
You could get a virus.
Yeah, you might.
VD.
Yes. You could get, it says the benefits of the dark web: access free academic research, I don't see that. I just don't see that. Use ad-free search engines. I do see that. And access geo-block content. So that would be other countries. So like, let's just say, let's look at it from a different perspective. Let's say you're in like a communist North Korea. You're not allowed to look at the web, but if you can access the dark web, you can look at YoMTV Raps. You can look at eBay. You can look at, New York Times and read what they're saying about you.
So that's what I'm thinking. Is there an internet button that can just be shut down? Or like, how do countries block that? It's by
there's gotta be
Wi-Fi access, or
there's gotta be a way. Well, like I said before, like
a wall.
When they first put it together, and you had it was like the military satellites, and it was something with NASA and something with the FCC, and they were like, okay, you can use our satellite for that. The university shot their info to it. They beam it to it. Like satellite TV, when you used to have the giant dish in the yard, and then it shrunk down.
Right. Oh, yeah.
It was the giant dish, shot the info up, shot it down to the guy in California, sent the guy in New York the hello message. He got it in a parsec, instant. This would be the same thing. They could say, oh, you're not using that anymore, and they could turn off access. I have to assume there's like you said, there's an easy button, and they can just nope,
like
not
a
today.
Company like, or a country like China that says, all these things are off site. There's obviously a wall, a filter of some sort that keeps that
they
access.
can't do Twitter. They can't do specific apps like that, like even TikTok. There's places where they can't have it. Like their contents. We just did that in the States where they said you got to shut down, and they shut it down. Where did all that data go? Like, it's still doing somebody some good, because because I use TikTok, and it became this thing where I'm scrolling through looking for the big boobs and the hot chicks and like music and stuff, and all I'm getting is ads, or it's a person live streaming a vacuum cleaner or a blender or something for a camera. It's like, because they can make a few bucks off of it, and it works, right? That's great. But then everybody starts doing it, and it just becomes flooded with that. Then it's not fun anymore. There's no element of the unexpected. It's when I open it, I fully expect I'm just going to get hit with a barrage of stupid ads or people trying to shill stuff, And when that was shut off, a lot of those people lost their money, their income or whatever.
For a day.
Right. But then they took the app off of Marketplace or app stores until I think it was yesterday. So anyway, that's the thing. Like, who can press that button? And like, it's broken down in different countries and stuff. Like I get it. Like, if you're leading your country a specific way, you don't want your people to have an app that's kind of like they're laughing behind your back and telling the truth. You want to control that. You want to know. Right. If I'm a Putin and it's communist and I'm trying as hard as I can to stay away from westerly ways, I don't want you on some app that lets you see all this TNA and buy all this stuff. No,
right.
I don't even want you to know that exists. I don't even want you to have that choice. So there has to be a way where I make the deal with those companies when they're trying to come over. I say, well, you got to give me a shut off button. I'll let you do it, but I need that button.
And as
or a valve to limit it.
And you look at countries that do that, censorship, don't allow their people full access of whatever, because certain people think that that's bad, and having access to it is bad, and you shouldn't have a choice. We're going to make the choice for you. I don't like that, and I don't like the fact that this country is leaning towards censorship.
Well, we've tried that before. Also, in the Asian Pacific region, I want to say like Philippines, Taiwan, Thailand, in that area, a lot of our companies won't release movies there first because they copy it so fast, and they put it on the black market. They put it on their dark web. So fast that the companies can't make any money on it. So it usually goes there last, or sometimes it goes there first, and you can see it before it comes out because somebody has a copy of it just sitting in the theater watching it, but they'll do it so fast. Bootlegging is like, it's just a way that things are.
Yeah. What was it? Tor stream or something like that?
Well, the Tor, yeah. BitTorrent.
Yeah, for music back in the day, or Napster.
Napster, LimeWire.
Yeah.
And then one time
for music, but I'm sure there was also video.
I can give you a great example of how to figure out who does what. I had Comcast, and a certain kid in the house was using LimeWire. And I got an email from Comcast that said, just so you know, we know you're doing this, and you got over 1,000 of this downloaded.
Oh no.
And we're not going to give you up, but we need you to stop. Because they were saying, we're not going to give up our customers. We're not doing that. We're not going to whistleblow on our own.
Heat's coming
but
down.
We will tell them to cut the shit out. So that's that whole thing about access and shutting things off. It's like somebody knew it was happening, and they knew you were providing the access to get there. So you either tell them, or we're coming to charge each person $2,500 per infraction, and we're going to just ruin people's lives.
Well, don't look at my search history.
So, you know, and then what was that in the mid to late 80s when they had, it was the whole thing about explicit language and music and imagery and things like that. And it was like, it's that whole line with art imitating life, imitating art. And then you have people that are offended by the art.
And they want to say censorship.
And they want to say censorship,
sure.
But it's like at the same time, at some point in your adult life, you can't just, like, if it's words, for instance, let's just say it's just words. A lot of it was about words. Okay. You got to look at context. You got to look at it. The whole thing with music is it's art. And they didn't want to make that distinguish. They didn't want to distinguish that difference, you know? So now what? You're going to say that people can't even swear? Are you going to hold yourself to that standard? And then you're going to put that standard on the people, and then everybody's going to be in step trying to like follow these rules, and then it's all censored, and then it's terrible. There's no more art. There's no more danger to it. There's no more excitement. It's just
there's no exactly right or wrong answer. And with freedom comes pitfalls, right? So a very slippery slope when you start to censor things. First, it seems like a good idea. Like, do you really want your 6-year-old having access to adult themed sort of things, whether it's sexuality or rock and roll, or, you know, or language, words in general, language, drugs, things like that, whatever, right? No, you don't. That seems like a great idea, but then you limit that, and then who's to say the next person don't go, well, let's also include just one little step, just one more thing, and then one more thing, and then pretty soon it becomes access to knowledge. It becomes, well, let's limit this.
Right.
Well, that's fine if your side that's limiting is making the decisions. But what if it's somebody that you don't like making those decisions? Now, is censorship good? No, you want to be able to have the information, all of it, good, bad, whether you agree or don't. At least then you could see both sides and you reaffirm your choice or change your choice. But once you start limiting things, it's just a snowball effect. And it's great when the people you like are making the rules. But when the people you don't like make the rules, it's too late then.
Cap Spalding, what's up, brother? He says, the world don't have no problem showing our kids. Too bad. It's up to us to be on there. But that's true. That's right. I think that's what I was going to get to as well, is when it comes to censorship, you know, I see a lot of time, like being older and having kids now in their mid 20s and 30s and things. You get that hindsight, right? So then you see some young parents now, and you see them so freaked out and sheltered and so afraid of the world getting to their kid. They want to homeschool and they want to do all this stuff. Hey, that's their right? But the thing is, it's like at some point the world's going to get to you.
Sure.
As a person, period.
Sure.
You're not always going to be there to protect them from whatever it is you think you're protecting them from. So I wouldn't say shelter them from it. I would say guide them through it. Mm-hmm. And a good example for me anyway, and it's kind of funny, and maybe it's not as deep as it could be, but my son came home from preschool, man. I don't even know if he was 5. And he says, I think I heard a bad word today, you know? And I'm like, how do I handle this? Because I'm a young dude at the time. I wasn't even 30 years old, you know? And I'm like, how did my dad cuss like a sailor? I don't want my kid cussing, but what do I do, right? So I'm like, shit. I was like, okay. So I turned to my son. I said, all right, I got it, right? So I said, all right, I tell you what, buddy. I'll let you tell me what you heard. And if it's bad, we won't say it anymore. And you won't be in trouble, but we'll know what it is, right? Because if I don't know what it is, I can't tell you. And he's like, you know, now his little brain's going. He's like, because he thinks it's bad already. So he must hear something in this that's bad, right? And I tell him, like, look, sometimes we say bad things. We don't, you know, we're angry or we don't mean to, or we're telling a joke. And we just have to watch our manners. It comes down to manners sometimes. And he's like, all right. So I draw him in. He's a little guy, right? So I'm sitting down. So I bring him in between. He's standing up in between my legs. I got my arms around him and I'm patting his back. I go, listen, you're not going to be in trouble.
Right.
Go ahead and let it go. And so I got him because I don't want to laugh because I know it's going to be something incredible. I know it's going to be. I just know it, you know, because kids are so, it's going to be like,
hello, motherfucker.
You know,
exactly.
So, and this is why I like that sound bite so much. Because my son says, well, Dad, what's a motherfucker? And I mean, I'm doing everything I can not to laugh, you know?
Right.
I said, so I didn't even know how to answer. And I'm like, well, you don't want to say that in school. You don't want to call anybody that. And you don't want to repeat that. I go, now later in life, when you're an adult and that comes out, I can't do anything about it, buddy. But for right now, let's just keep that one off of the table.
Language.
So he was like, all right, you know, so I gave him a hug, told him, thank you for telling me, you know, because I didn't know, like I said, I had no clue how to handle that.
Yeah.
And when he said that, I was like, Jesus, they're so advanced. Where are they coming with this? Because when my dad was saying shit like that, if you even breathe the word, you're getting your ass backhanded, you know? So it was like, there's just so much more knowledge out there, so much faster. And people say kids these days. It's not kids these days. Yeah. It's the exact same thing that it's ever been. It's just that they're sponges, just like we were. You hear it, you repeat it, you learn how to use it. My daughter was, you know, maybe a year. She's 2 years younger than my son. Maybe a year later, she's watching a show and there's this real tense moment in the show. And she clutches her little stuffed animal and she goes, no, damn it. And I was like, how did she know how to use it? It's because it's body language and they see it and they just little sponges, you know, and then things get a little loose and you don't really pay as much attention. And it's like he's saying here, you know, you talk to your kids about this stuff. You talk to them about sex, drugs, rock and roll. You know, like, my thing was like, as a parent, I didn't want to, I wanted to influence, but I didn't want to like force, you know, like I wanted to, it wasn't even so much about religion. Is like, I just wanted my kid to like, maybe just see some things that were very positive. So Sunday school and they're singing songs and Bible and God, just to get a little foundation in there. And then, even then I wanted them to make their own decisions. So like my son was like, I don't know, 6 or 7. And he said, I want to get baptized. And I was like, right on, go ahead, dude. That's your choice. Like, I did not force that on him, you know? So it was like, it was like not even something I was hoping for or waiting for. It was like, when he said that, I wanted it to be his choice. So then I would spend time having a conversation about it, because for a 7-year-old to say they want that to have this bigger sort of meaning, he didn't get that. I knew that, but I wanted to have that talk later on to make sure they at least kind of had an understanding of what it meant if it was a story. like to kind of just know where it was in the story.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's just a part of things. It's not everything. It's, you know, don't, like we talked about the Bible before, where we say people would hinge every freaking thing on every word. And it's like, no, man, it has an application, and it's historical, and it has a value. But you said too, like, it gives you hope.
Yeah.
Whether you're an atheist, agnostic, hardcore Catholic, whatever you are, that those things are things that can give you hope.
Yeah.
You know,
anything beyond yourself, some meaning.
right.
You know, we're always searching for the meaning of life. What's this all for? If you have some sort of hope, that's all that really needs to be, no matter what religion, what flavor of religion it is.
Mm-hmm.
But back to his point, who was it that commented that?
Captain Spaulding.
He makes a good point. And there's so many people that think, oh, well, you shouldn't cuss around your kids. Oh, you shouldn't smoke around your kids. You shouldn't drink around your kids. You should, this or that or whatever, because it could lead them to do that. Mm-hmm. Well, it doesn't make a bit of difference. You know how many people that their parents smoked, cussed, drank, whatever, mm-hmm. and their kids either, one, seen their parents do it and say, I'm never going to do that, or two, did it because their parents did it. It happens both ways all over the place, no matter what it is. So to say that there's, you know, well, you shouldn't do this, or you shouldn't expose kids to this or that or whatever. There's perfectly great people that let the cuss words fly in front of their kids, and their kids grow up and they're wonderful, caring, loving people. And then there's people that shelter their kids, and sometimes those kids grow up to be the most fucking heinous people you can imagine.
And he's become a friend of mine. His name's Ruben, and he lives in California, and he's covered in tats from head to toe. He just had his eyelids done. So you're going to judge a book by its cover, or are you going to get to know the person?
Right.
Some people are standoffish and you won't get to know them, but this dude's one of the warmest people I've ever met in my life.
Sure.
Sweetheart of a dude. He actually, if you look over there on the shelf, the It and the horror figures right there, he sent me those.
Nice.
Great dude.
Sweet dude.
Love him like a brother. So like, you would look at him and you would say, oh, heathen sinner.
Right.
He's covered in tattoos. I'm like, no, that's something meaningful to him, special to him. I doubt that he's doing it for no reason.
Right.
You know, it has a reason in his life. So those are the things I would rather teach a kid, is like, if you're going to do something, make it important to you, make it mean something to you.
Right.
One of the things I remember my mom telling me was like, find something you want to do in life that you find yourself good at, and then just do it. Mm-hmm. Don't worry about what anybody else cares about or says or thinks or does.
Right.
I recently saw, you know, and I'm not trying to stand on religion, but I saw these guys have some drama online. Some YouTubers have drama because a guy, he was into like toy collecting and things, and he started doing a stream where he was talking to his own brother who lived in another state. So they would do a stream like this where you can talk to people, where we've had guests with John and stuff.
Right.
And they would talk about religion. They would talk about politics. And he would say, well, I'm a Trumper, but I'm not judging anybody that's not, you know, this is me. This is who I am, what I am. And there's a guy that got in his chat blowing him a bunch of shit because he had a religious belief that was counter to, I guess, whatever the popular thing was that this other guy was pissed off about. And it just became this drama. And I'm like, why can't people just, we talked about this earlier, why can't people just say what they believe in or support in a positive, now, as long as they're not being a dick, and be positive about it, and just say, we can have a conversation. I'm open to the conversation to see what someone who doesn't think this way feels, believes, wants to say, and then we have a conversation. We don't have this whole doubling down, this is the only way it can be, and this is it, and you're wrong, and fuck you, you know,
shouting people down.
And this is what happened with these guys. And I don't believe in that. And sometimes I'm kumbaya, want everybody to get along, and there's other times I say, okay, you're being an asshole right now, let's cool it and move on. But I'm always like about redemption and hope that people can work it out and do that,
Right.
move on, you know, because
Right.
there's other cool shit in the world to talk about, the dark web, and you know, there's always something else out there to grab your imagination. It's just like even with like travel. I had a guy tell me recently, just in the last month, maybe 2 months. Me and another guy were talking about traveling different places, and he says, "Well, I don't know. I wasn't even in the conversation, and this guy started blurting out things that he wants to see certain things happen, and I was just like, what? What are you talking about? And he's like, I won't go to California. Why? Politics. I go, you won't go to California because of politics. I go, what about the people that are there that agree with you? Because I'm sure there are, right? It's not all just one way there just because you think it is.
Right.
And I go, there's beautiful things there to see. It's our country. It's like we're number one, dude. Like that's part of it. Like you're going to be willing to lose that because of politics. Like he literally said politics. I go,
right.
I'm not even going to ask you for an example. I go, I'm just telling you, I've been there. I have family there. I've traveled there. It's fucking beautiful. And I don't live there. I don't have to stay there. I go, I visit, I come back home. Just like Las Vegas, just like Chicago, just like Phoenix, just like all these other places I go. Atlanta, Orlando, all this stuff. I was like, have you ever driven a car through Pennsylvania on rush hour and gotten a fender bender in Pittsburgh? And no, okay, well, I've done this wild shit. And I'm like, we're an hour from Chicago. I go to shows in Chicago. I turn my ass around and come right back home. People talk about crime and all this shit. I'm like, I don't have a problem. Because I go for a specific reason and I go do my thing and I turn around and come home. Now, if I'm meandering around and fucking off and you go looking for trouble, you're going to find it, right?
FAFO.
I'm not going to tell you that I won't go somewhere because of some policy or something that's in that city, because I'm like, it's not the city's fault that a bureaucrat is being a dipshit and fucking with a senator or whoever to make some policy. I don't care about that.
Right.
I'm not there for that policy. I'm there to see whatever at the thing and then get the hell out. You know, there's history before all these things happened. Those are things in our lifetimes, you know, but just to say, I won't go somewhere because of politics. I was like, some people will tell me I won't go to Chicago. It's a cesspool. It's this and that. I'm like, well, when was the last time you went?
If you're truly scared for your well-being, then
that's one thing. But and I understand, like you'd say,
maybe don't go off the beaten path.
And then those, what sanctuary cities and it's this and that. I'm like, I don't even pay attention to any of that. I go for this thing and I don't see like 10 dudes walking up to me saying anything about any of that. Like, I don't get. There's a disconnect. I can understand you don't want to support it. Cool.
Yeah. It's a version of boycotting, I suppose.
There's something there. There's something there for me. I want to go do and check out. And I have an innate curiosity about things. And I feel like before I go around the world and do all these things, I should see all this stuff in my own country. Like, regardless of all that. Do I agree with Abbott's shit in Texas, things he's done? Not necessarily. But I still want to go check it out.
You're going to go to South by Southwest?
I want to see South by Southwest. I want to see the Alamo. I want to go see San Antonio. You know what I mean? Like, I want to go see the things, notwithstanding all that other crap. I don't put that in the way because life is too short, too sweet. We lose all these people. Years go by. I'm sitting there looking at relatives at a funeral, and I go, when are we going to stop doing this? Stop doing what? The only time we see each other is when somebody dies. How many people out there right now? It's just how it is.
Weddings or funerals?
Weddings and funerals. Yeah. Weddings and funerals. We have to stop doing this. I can't do this. We have to stop this. And that's how I feel about going places and seeing things. Whether I agree with the political landscape of it or not. Mm-hmm. I feel like if there's some cool thing that's historically a historical value that's there, like I'm still going to go see it because I want to say I saw it before I'm gone. Mm-hmm. In my lifetime, I only have so much time, so many opportunities. I want to go to the Alamo and be like Ozzy and pee on it and get put in jail and banned. No, I'm kidding.
So,
but I'm just saying, like, my viewpoint versus a dude that tells me, well, I won't go to the state of California because of politics. And I'm like, well, there's other stuff there besides politics. Like, you could check it out. It's kind of cool. Right. Like, you don't have to stay.
So that brings up an interesting point. In the moment, to experience those things in the moment is of value for sure. I'm not sure how much value there is in knowing that I've done something at the end of my life. I mean, that's given the chance you have time to reflect.
Right.
You know, you're 90 years old, you're slowly dying of disease, and do you look back and think, man, 47 years ago I was able to experience this, or 29 years ago.
Maybe it was before.
Maybe you do.
Maybe it was before the political climate made people say that.
Sure.
But it's also that doubling down where somebody's accusing me of supporting that agenda just by going there, and I'm like, no, man, I just wanted to see the Giardelli thing over the bay and get some chocolate. Like, that wasn't, you know what I mean? Right. Like, you can't even do. Now you're blamed. I'm blamed. But I'm like, I don't care.
No, I'm just,
you know what I'm saying?
I'm just thinking the memory thing.
Yeah, exactly.
Because once you pass, maybe you can reflect on your life led after you pass. Maybe there is something where
or just in your later years when you don't have the ability to go anywhere anymore. You could say,
and you're glad I got to do that.
You could look at a little thing and just, you're reminiscing and go, man, that was cool. We went to that place in Ohio. It smelled like shit, but it was cool. And then,
and if you're lucky enough to have the ability to do that, that's
right.
That's awesome.
So I had that, but in having those conversations with people, another guy in the same room later had said him and his girlfriend were going to go to Italy, and he's Italian and he's 64 years old and he's hardly ever been out of the state. And I said, dude, listen, man, none of my business. With the career that we have, with the money we make, you need to travel, even if it's someplace that people say don't go over there. This guy's ideals. Right. You gotta go, man. You gotta go, because someday you're not even gonna have the energy to get up, to get in the plane, to go and walk around and see the things and take the pictures and eat the food, and you're just not even gonna be able to do it, you know. So I say travel while you can. Do it while you can, because you don't know what's going to happen. What could happen tomorrow? You're in an accident and you can't travel. You know,
something just hit me. It's kind of topic adjacent, really. It's kind of off.
We can switch gears.
No. Just
we're all over the place.
Let me pose this question to you here. So we talked before about maybe cells of your body holding a memory, or you being able to somehow pass those things down to your children. Like if you're a little bit artistic, without you teaching your child that yet, they're a little bit not autistic, artistic, or you have a knack for playing music or singing, and then you see that your kid does, or you're really fast runner and you see your kid. So some of that has to come from your body, your DNA. The cells in your body have developed in a certain way. And then when you have a child, that is passed on through the knowledge that's in your cells. So doesn't it make more sense that you wait till you're like 80 to have kids, when you've had all these life experiences and your cells in your body have accumulated all of this knowledge? That would make the ultimate child, all that knowledge being passed along. I'm being a bit here, but it's a good thought experiment.
Well, I think if you're artistic, or you have some ability or something that you exploit to and showcase great skill at, that propensity for it is already in you. So even if you don't do it, it's the natural makeup to do it is already there and can be passed. And so one example I can think of right off the top of my head when you said music, okay. Big Van Halen fan, Eddie Van Halen, God rest his soul. His son Wolfgang has done 2 albums and played every instrument on the albums, no other musicians, all the singing, everything, keyboard, bass, guitar, drums, everything. His first album, he got, I think he was nominated for a Grammy, and he had #1 rock record all by himself and never had one lesson from Eddie. Arguably one of the best guitar players in the history of rock guitar. Some would say the best, hardcore fans. Others would put him in the top 100. No matter what, he's in the top 100. Okay. For me, he's in my top 5, but I'm a fan. So just a guy looking at just rock guitar.
Pure ability.
I just feel like there's no question he's in the top 100. Just from, let's say, 1955 at the sort of dawn of rock to modern day rock. He's got to be in the conversation. Right, he's got to be in the conversation. Sure. You had guys that changed the game when they came along, and he's one of them, in my opinion. But to have his kid who never had a lesson from him, he showed him drums. He didn't show him guitar. He showed him how to keep a beat to an AC/DC song, and then the kid just absorbed it from being around it. So I feel like that's an answer to sort of what you said. Genetically, he was predispositioned for music from his father, who was a professional musician.
But if Eddie, let's say he had that gift in him, but let's say he went to the steel mills and he just worked a job and never did it, would his kid still have the same level of aptitude without Eddie progressing what he had to a point, and then also creating the environment?
I mean, I believe so.
Yeah,
I believe so. Whether I'm right or wrong, though, I don't know. But I think you would, because when you said, like, what if you had Eddie? Okay, so now he would have been 70 and then had the kid.
Right.
And now the kid would have the genetic sort of memories built into the genomes of this long career, all this different music coming out of him.
Does that make a
difference? He could play piano, he played cello, he played horns, all this stuff. Would that make a difference? I don't think so, because I think it's something in the human mind that sort of opens you up to the ability to take that in and at a young age, just absorb it better than others. Because there's things where people talk about like ADHD and autism and learning disabilities and things like that. And I feel like me as a kid, I had to see things to do them, and I couldn't do it from instructions. It's like I could read it and comprehend it very well, but I couldn't understand how to change it from the comprehension of what I read to physically doing it. So I'd have to see you do it.
Mm-hmm.
If you showed me, I'd do it.
Right.
But if I had to read and do it, there was a disconnect.
Imagine and do it.
There is a disconnect.
Yeah, right.
Same thing with music. They say music is sort of related to math. So if you are good at math when you're really young, or you learn math really, or you learn music really young, you're going to be good at math, because it's the sacred geometry, they call it, of music, because it's 1s, 3s, 5s, 7s. You have diminished, and you only have 12 notes you can play, but there's the progression, the way that they lock into each other. And there's people that have an aptitude to hear that, and because it's a count sometimes, it's a 1 and a 3 and a 5, or it's a 2 and a 4, or it's a 1 and a 2 and a 5.
Or they see colors. There's some people that hear music and see colors.
They can click it together. Their mind just clicks it together. Yeah. It's like this. It's like a game. It's fun. And those are the prodigies, and those are the savants, and those are maybe it is on the spectrum of autism, because they're able to hone in on just that, and then everything else, they're kind of a Fruit Loop. They're not good with social situations. They have addiction issues. They can't deal with regular life, but man, you put them in front of a keyboard or an instrument and they can just tear through something.
What about, so you got somebody like that, right? They're a very talented musician, but then their kid comes along and it just blows them away.
Yeah.
Or you've got parents that are not musically gifted at all, can't carry a note in a bucket, couldn't play an instrument if you paid them to, but yet their kid has this great ability. So where did that come from? Not necessarily genetic. because unless it was a latent sort of thing that didn't express itself in their parents, because their parents tried and they sing karaoke and they're horrible,
or but neither parent had anything, but their genomes together
somehow
made this wunderkind. Is the collecting with then you could have a guy who comes along, he's 5 years old with a beard, and he creates a story about guys in outer space and womp rats. That's the other thing. Like I'm into Star Wars, and that's a whole nother creative level, of writing, and you're imagining these things, and you put them to paper, and you put together a team, and they make a story and a screenplay, and then you put it on the big screen, and it becomes a phenomenon. No idea in the last century of film now is original. Like everything's borrowed, everything's taken from this and taken from that, and even Star Wars and even other movies are taken from westerns and things like that. It's like the creative mind and just the ability to get out what's in your mind. Some people can do it so much more clearly and concisely,
So in the same vein, there's technically no new songs that have ever been written. It's just the same notes played in a different way
12.
And the same lyrics written in a different order.
There's only 12 notes, and there's only so many themes you can come up with. I mean, that's the limitation of the human existence.
So there are new creations, but really you're
sort of
just
within those confines. So like with let's just say lyrics in a song, a theme, you could talk about an experience. It could be that you were abused, that you enjoyed something, that you were sad about something. Somebody said once, if you sing about things in the moment, it's dated. If you sing about love, it's forever. Because there's things about humans that will never will never transcend the moment better than emotion and feelings. You know what I mean? So if you can find a way to get that across,
but nobody's created a new note.
No,
nobody's created a new note.
You just can't get a new note. There's no way. But the quantum computer might be able to twist it a little bit.
Can you ask AI to create a song in a pattern that has never been created before? That is, you can't use the A, B, C or the D, G, E or the whatever combination of notes that makes every popular song popular. And every word that's ever been spoken has already been put into songs in different ways, different combinations. But we need a song that has never been played those notes in that order before.
Okay, so in the meantime, while that's doing that, I'll tell you about this dream I had. I think it was a vision. I think it was the future. I'm on Highway 2 looking south near 500 West, where I used to live. The sky is cloudy and dark like I've never seen it. It becomes nighttime, and I'm talking to somebody. I'm standing by somebody. We're acknowledging that, wow, the sky is dark. It is darker than any tornado.
Just in the south area?
To the south, and it is coming over us from the north, heading to the south, to the southeast.
Okay.
We see lightning flashing in the sky. We see two plumes of smoke in the farthest, as far as we can see, southeast. Two plumes of white smoke coming down, like something's falling, and it's pure white. We can see it, but it's so far off in the distance. We're like, wow, something must be crashing from the atmosphere, but it's two things right next to each other at an equal pace. This is weird. Immediately to the right of that, to the west of that, we see what would be like gold fire, like something's shooting at something and exploding, and you hear it off in the distance. And you hear helicopter, the thud of helicopters coming from the south directly up this road, above the road, but directly due north. And you see something pierce the clouds that is so hard to comprehend. You can't get your head around it. And you hear these helicopters and they're flying by, and you see these two, at first two, and then another two, and another two, and another two. And they're these huge crafts of some sort. Imagine a giant letter T. I can't explain it any other way. With arms and legs, but it's a giant ship craft. So the T, the top, would be the head, and they're turning towards each other and they're talking to each other. You can tell they're communicating. They're sentient, but they're silent. The only sound you hear is the helicopters, some other aircraft, and these are flying behind it. And there's like 6 or 8 of them, but it's like that Las Vegas thing. They're so far away and they're so big that they look close. So they're like the size of massive skyscrapers in a T, and there's 6 or 8 of them. And as I'm seeing them pass me, I'm turning my head to the right and I look down, and in the lights, there's like searchlights from these helicopters. I see these 3 beings standing there in sort of like spacesuits. 2 are tall, 1 short with a bright orange head. And we make eye contact, and I'm so uncomfortable that I rush back inside this building. I'm not scared. I'm just so, this isn't right.
Yeah.
This is weird. And I turn around and they're standing there.
Because they followed you into the building
instantly,
that quick, right?
Instantly.
Yeah, right behind you. Yeah.
And they speak completely warbled, can't understand what they're saying. And then they hand me something. And I look at it, and it's an earpiece. And I was like, I totally got it. And I put it on.
Yeah.
Completely understood them at that point. And they say, we don't have time to understand. We don't have time to explain. We need at least 1 billion human beings to let us imbue them. The word imbue, don't ask me how this stuff comes into my dream. Imbue them with the powers of our soldiers to join us to help save all of humanity, or Earth will be lost. And other planets, or the other, I can't remember the word, the other galaxy, the other part of this, something. These things that we all wonder about, there'd be a chance to help protect. And I don't remember much. I remember saying, what am I doing? What do I become? Well, you become something greater than a human. Your genetics get changed. You're practically indestructible, and you have other abilities you'll have to figure out along the way. The time is of the essence. We do this now, and we can win this. The enemy is less intelligent, less strong, less durable, easily defeated, but in such great numbers that if we don't get 1 billion with ours, we're lost, because they'll just overrun us. There is an entity at the back end of this spitting these out, and we have to get through them to stop it. So I'm like, okay, yeah. And
so were you supposed to be in charge of gathering a billion?
I wasn't in charge. I was just
gathering
joining.
another billion. You're one of the billion. You're one of the billion.
There was that movie with the kid and Harrison Ford, and they were like ants, and he had to fight them, and he puts them through that exercise, and he didn't tell them until later on that the exercise was the actual battle, and he defeated them. But the kid could communicate with the queen bee or whatever it was, queen ant or whatever. I can't remember the name of the movie. It was based on a book series, and Harrison Ford was a military admiral or something that the government had been having contact with these beings and knew what was at stake. And this kid, so I don't know if I was dreaming that, but the very peculiar things that stood out for me in this dream that made it so terrifying, I couldn't sleep for 2 nights.
Wow.
Was that one, it was in color, and humans don't dream in color. When you see a color in a dream, it means something. I was seeing colors. This dude had the bright orange head. The ships had sort of yellow and orangish colors on them. They were sort of a bright gray. And they sort of glowed brighter. The metal, the surface sort of glowed, like it stood out from everything around it. You could clearly see it. The plumes of smoke, the white, the just looking at the grass, everything had color. I don't ever remember a time in my life having dreams with color. Anyway,
I would dispute that, but go ahead.
It's just said that we don't dream in color, and when we do, there's reasons.
I think I've had plenty of dreams that had colorful parts to it. So
colorful parts. There you go.
Yeah.
So he was like trying to initiate me or whatever, and I was literally standing at a gas station. And I can, that's the Family Express on Highway 2 at 500 West.
Sure.
So and I jumped inside the building. Like, I don't even know what to do. I'm running like, oh my God. And I'm in the bathroom, basically hiding like a little girl. And then I come out and he's just standing there like, we need you.
Yeah, you're not hiding.
It didn't continue from there, nothing else, but it was so vivid and so real.
Wow.
That I was like, this has to be we were just talking about like revelation and stuff. I was like, this has to be a vision. This is coming in 2031.
Have you ever seen
Alexa was right?
Have you ever seen the movie? And I think it's called The Tomorrow War.
Yeah.
You ever seen that? Where they have to go back.
Chris Pratt meets his daughter as an adult.
They try to go back to defeat the army before it got too big.
Yeah. So anyway, I got abducted by aliens again.
Sweet. No, to affect you so profoundly that you couldn't.
I could not sleep for the next couple nights.
Just
it was
thinking you might have that encounter again, or what? What do you think?
It was just like we spend so much time thinking about what's coming, what's already been here. We're never in the moment. So you try to be present as much as you can. And I think for me, the things that have happened in my life, the things that could really bog me down, if I let them, if I wasn't more in the moment, it would be a lot worse for me.
Were you, and when you woke up from that, were you scared? Were you shaken? Was your heart pounding?
I was very much like it was real. Like, I don't even know if I was scared or what. It was just so real, so vivid.
Were you okay with it?
I don't think so. I just feel like it was one of those things where here we go. We don't have a choice. It, like it was so, when the helicopters flew over, like I can only equate it to Las Vegas, because the statement that somebody said to me one time in Las Vegas is, never walk. It's never as close as you think, because those buildings are so big.
Right.
And these space naval crafts that I thought were sentient somehow, because somehow through their motion, when you see two people walking and talking, but you can't hear them, they're talking, they were communicating somehow to each other.
They had arms and legs.
They were just huge, like a mech, like a giant structure that was so giant, but yet it was like a robot, like a Gundam. It had appendages, like it could stop and stand and talk if it wanted to.
Okay.
I didn't see that, but I could imagine that it could stop, land, look around, smack something if it wanted. But it was literally full of. But it was literally full. Well, it was flying, and the heads were like here, and they're kind of looking at each other for guidance, like where do we go? To where it could have just come in for a landing this way, could have landed this way, and been a full fortress, just one. And there was 8 or 10 of them. And so you have to imagine that was hundreds of stories, thousands of feet, millions of beings probably on there.
And the helicopters.
And the helicopters were like guiding, but they were closer to where you could hear them and see them. And I'm thinking, oh, wow, they weren't even anywhere close. So maybe this was a coordinated thing. And they were like maybe 50 helicopters wide, you know what I mean, in a row.
Sure.
Leading them somewhere towards the lake, because they were heading north. So a big city would be Chicago, right? So I don't know.
I wonder if the helicopters in your dream were kind of like a grounding thing for
just
you.
To let them
like give you some perspective. Well,
the thing was when we saw the dark clouds, and I remember just being with 2 other people. I don't know who they were. Could have been random. The fact that I'm at a gas station, whatever. The comment or the feeling was like, wow, this is a storm. We need to take cover. This is bad. And we see these two bright plumes of smoke, like something crashed. Like there was already shit popping off in the atmosphere above us.
The clouds and everything.
And those were just clouds from the clouds of war, whatever, right? So then I heard the helicopters next, thinking it was thunder from this quote unquote storm. And I'm like, what are the helicopters doing? And then completely silent. You don't hear these things making a sound. They were Teslas. It was the letter T. No, they're coming, they're breaking atmosphere. They're coming into the atmosphere through these clouds, and they're following along and kind of looking back and forth and kind of making sure, checking in with each other. Like,
how long ago was this?
About a week ago. And could be remnants of discussions we've had, things I've been reading, things I've been watching. Sure. I'm very visual, like I said. I don't know, but it was just so random to happen in a dream.
How do you feel about it now? Real. How do you feel about it now, a week later? I know
I've tried honestly to not think about it until I thought we could talk about it. And I remember telling you about the time I had the vision where I could see through the house, but it was like X-ray vision that wasn't of me. It was of me being scanned from this giant ship. So it was sort of reminiscent of that. Like there was just no choice in it. Even though this thing gave me the thing and I could talk, and he said, do you want to do it? I could have said no, but at that point, all I know is that this stuff was already happening. There was no stopping it. It didn't matter if 1,000 guys or 10,000 guys said yeah, or 1 billion, whatever it was supposed to be. It was on. It was on.
That is fascinating thing about dreams. It is so real and tangible when you're in the moment. Sometimes you know it's a dream. Like for me, sometimes I know that I'm having a dream in my dream, but other times it's so like you will wake up and your heart is just pounding and racing. And
there was like, no part of it. There was no part of it when I came to or woke up or whatever. I don't even remember how much time passed. I don't remember if it was in the middle of the night, in the morning, time to go to work, what, because I leave
like
when
if you woke up and it ended the dream,
right?
Or
because
not.
I leave when it's dark, so I don't remember where it fell in that little spectrum there. But I just remember that it was like so real that it didn't feel like a dream. It felt, and it didn't feel like a memory. It felt like a vision. I don't even know how else to explain it. It felt like, I want to say not the future, but a current
timeline
dimension, like a multiverse, multi-dimensional thing. Same place where we're at, different plane of existence. This is going on.
Well, do me a favor.
Matrix.
Don't stop at that gas station anymore.
I haven't been at that gas station in a couple of years. I've driven by it. I used to live right down the street from it. It's just my frame of reference was why am I seeing that? I remember first thing I was thinking was, why am I seeing this from here
and not your current house?
Sort of looking down and realizing, knowing exactly where I was, but seeing that great expanse of sky, and it was darkened by these clouds. I don't know if it was evening. I don't know if it was day. It was just, you could tell, and you were kind of freaked out. And then you see the plumes, then you see the explosions, then you see those come in. It was almost like they hit something on the way in. Like maybe they hit a satellite or something on the way in, or an enemy or whatever, and kind of came in, and then they're like, there's their guides. They were supposed to link up with the choppers. So maybe it was another dimension, and I was just able to like peek in and see this and like get back here, and this is going on right now as we speak. Who knows? I don't know. That's the only way I could see it, because it was like, it wasn't scary. It was I don't know what the word is. It was uncomfortable, unnerving, not right. Like, I don't know how to explain it. Like, I don't know. Like, I shouldn't have seen it, I guess. I don't know. But just making eye contact with the orange redhead, whatever he was, that sticks in my head and freaks me out. And then to communicate, and then to, okay, I'll go, and then I don't know what else. And maybe that's a reoccurring thing, because I've been asked to take up arms for these things. So I don't know. Maybe there's something there that I need to talk to somebody that
you didn't
give me
eat
some meaning.
Pizza right before you went to bed, did you?
No.
Okay.
No drinking, no drugs, nothing. Damn it, I wish I would.
Maybe that's the problem.
Yeah, I need to.
Well,
but I mean, we're done. The phone lines are open. If anybody wants to call, I'll leave it open for a few minutes. Do not disturb is off, and I figured out the whole volume thing. All the way back at the top of the chat, the phone number is pinned, and I had the volume down last time. That's what it was. The volume was down. There's two volumes. There's a USB volume and a phone volume.
Oh, that was the problem.
And to hear it is, and I'm sorry, and a Bluetooth volume. So to hear the calls was the phone through the Bluetooth. So you have to have both of those up at the same time, so they're up. So we're good. If anybody wants to call in, call in. If not, we'll give it a few minutes and then we're going to be out of here. It's your VD Day special Fight the Fear podcast taping over here on Collecting with Cool. But you can also go over to the Fight the Fear podcast YouTube channel and subscribe. And the RSS feed is there. So you can just pull it up and just listen to all past episodes nonstop if you want. You can also go to patreon.com/Fight the Fear podcast. Support us over there and you'll get some extra stuff there. Or you can become a member of Collecting with Cool. Looks like we got a call coming in.
Nice.
See who it is. Fight the Fear podcast. Uh-oh. Is it doing it again?
Hello.
Here it is. Are you there?
Can you hear me?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. What's up?
It's Gap.
What's up, man? How you doing?
I'm not good. I've been sick for another 3 weeks.
Yeah.
Oh, no.
Get better, brother.
Yeah. They're trying to it. I feel like a medical PD kit with medication because can't seem to handle pain medication. But I was listening to your stuff and I wanted to ask if you smoked plastic crack.
If I smoked plastic crack? I'm addicted to plastic crack.
I know you are, brother, but it's fascinating because it reminded me of something sort of related, but it wasn't as extravagant anymore. As a kid, I woke up and I saw two pairs of red eyes.
Okay.
A pair of red eyes.
I don't like that. I do not like hearing that, but okay.
Where were?
Yeah, no kidding.
Where were you, and where were the eyes at?
He just got done watching The Exorcist.
And the eyes were just, I don't know, just like over me.
In your bedroom? Like, were you asleep in your bed and the eyes were hovering in your room?
Well, I was sleeping and I kind of opened my eyes and I saw the red eye. And
okay.
One other time I had an experience where I felt like something was trying to pull me through my bed. So I don't know if that was watching a Nightmare on Elm Street.
Right. The waterbed scene.
Yikes.
Yeah, brother. I was but I was listening and sitting there, and you kind of freaked me out with your orange redhead guy. Oh my God.
That's from what was the Elemental movie or whatever? The guy was anger. The movie about the movie about feelings, and he had this kind of square red head. Imagine a guy that's about 5 feet tall with that head. That was him, and he's like, "I need to talk to you about your car insurance or your car warranty or whatever." I don't know. I know I sound like a complete loon, but I'm like, I have these wild ass dreams, and I'm like, I'm gonna tell you about it, and it's just
it's all interesting.
It obviously probably plays off of things we talk about, things we see, but then there's those moments like when you said you see these eyes, man. There's who can explain what that is? Nobody really knows. You know, it could be a lot of things.
Thank God and I was going to religious school when I was a kid.
Yeah, so did we.
Thank God, I never saw
No.
those red eyes again.
Dude, if you would have went back to
never...
school and brought that up, oh my God, you would have been.
Oh shit!
And you'd be screwed to this day.
Yeah, I'd be stuck in the cell in the Vatican with some freaky priest licking his
They'd have you
lips
locked away.
Yeah. I'd be like, oh no, it's the freaky priest licking his lips every time you see him. But my father, his name was Damien, Father Damien.
Oh shit. The Exorcist.
Oh shit.
Yeah, and he had 2 Doberman, the miniature Doberman pictures.
That's not good. Oh,
the devil dog.
That was
I believe you with your stuff. It's creepy because I think there's truth in there, and if you can't sleep for 2 nights after, that's a big deal. And then we're all influenced by things in our brains, but then there's the still moment.
Yeah.
Like what happened to you, that it's like, okay, and then like me with the red eyes, and then with somebody trying to, I was told it was some kind of entity trying to get me. That's why I have cats, because they ward off evil.
Oh shit!
But they were trying to pull me to the underworld, and I was like, oh shit. They're like, and I was like, well, I better not tell you about the red eyes. And they were like, what do you mean? So they're trying to get you, and I was like, shut the fuck up, because I have to sleep.
Yeah,
but,
I don't know, man. I think there's times in our lives where we're very we're not on guard, and we're at rest, and our mind can open up to other things, and we don't understand it.
It's the DMT.
We don't have the control. And it's something that I feel like our subconscious can access, our mind can be a part of, and then we kind of wake up and we snap out of it. And there's something else there.
Hey, answer me this. I see, like the Marvel logo opening where it's flipping the pages.
Yeah.
I see. You're not supposed to see that until your eyes flashing before your life, before you die. I see that every night when I close my eyes to go to sleep. It's like that Marvel movie, but it's different scenes of life flicking through, and then it might slow down and stop and trigger a memory. But I see that. So am I supposed to be dying every day?
I can't answer what it is for sure, but it could be that you're seeing just moments of your life. It could be memories from when you're unconscious and sleeping.
Well, what triggers it? Yeah.
It could be your mind accessing other dimensions. When I think when people say other dimensions, they get a little freaked out and they think it's this big bad thing, but it could just be slices of moments in time of just you taking a left instead of a right.
Oh yeah, I could be Top Gun in another dimension.
You totally could, and it could be a different actor instead of Tom Cruise.
Right.
It could be a lot of different variants of things.
I could be Grogu in the next dimension.
Yeah.
But when I think of other dimensions, I think of us here in this room, right? But next to us that we can't see or feel or touch, there's other people having a party in here, and then next to them at a different time in history or whatever,
a centimeter over,
there's another group of people interacting, or maybe not, maybe one person is doing this or that, and there's all these layers inside the same space that we can't feel or touch. That's what I think when you say alternate
and that could be his
universe.
His mind could be just chaptering through it all. He has an ability that he doesn't
see
quite
through
realize.
The veil, they say.
Yeah. There you go.
It's like, have you seen The Man in the High Castle?
Yeah.
Okay.
Good example.
That that is what I think is going on, because I could be, 007.
That's a great example.
Or I could be a killer in the next one, or I could be Satan.
Did you see that? Did you ever see that? That's a great. That's a great example. Dude, it's where we in World War II everybody made films, and somehow the Germans were able to break through the veil and fool us that they won. But a girl finds the films of us coming back and actually winning the war and all that, and that's the truth. And she's trying to get people to see the film so they can break the veil. But the Germans have found a way to, so they're back and forth all the time, back and forth.
What's it called?
It's called The Man in the High Tower. It's pretty interesting.
The High Castle.
Because it's about interdimensional things and
I'll have to look
suggestion and things like that. It's on Amazon. I think there was 3 seasons of it, something like that.
5.
Was it 5?
Wow.
Yeah, because it was based on some books.
Okay, check that out.
Let me tell you,
it's like a clandestine group of spies. They get the films and they're trying to get the films to people to see that we actually won because we're under German rule in the States. It's crazy.
Yeah. Yeah, so the Japanese.
The country's divided like into 3. There's East, West, and then the middle's just kind of like neutral zone because nobody wants it because they can't quite reach it, So, yeah, it's crazy. It's crazy.
But yes, highly recommend that because it has to do with interdimensional, and we won't tell you the ending. But
I'll check it out.
It is fucking fantastic, and a lot of great actors and actresses.
Yeah.
And the lead actress and actor at the star is just wonderful. But so if anybody asks him a lot, I say, he called in. You can tell I'm not sounding like myself.
Well, thanks for calling in. We appreciate it.
Yeah. I don't feel so bad. I don't feel so crazy now. There's someone else out there.
I had to call in, even though, I'm not really well yet, and I got health stuff to work through.
That's what I was for a month, man. Back in December for like a month. Oh my God.
Wish the best for you, buddy.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, thanks, guys.
Okay.
Because when I heard your story, I was like, shit, I don't care.
Well, I'm glad you stuck with us long enough to get to it because we were going off the rails there for a while.
We're all over the place. We're having fun.
But
y'all were supposed drinking NL, and I don't know what the hell you were inhaling. Hey, are you both in the same room?
Yeah, we're here, across from each other.
Yeah.
Okay, that's what I figured.
He's at my house.
Weird, but then when you point, you told him, that dude gave you that horror figure, and I'm like, is he in the same room with that? and everything. But so I'm gonna go try my plastic crack that they gave me because I swear every they're giving me designer shit, right?
Oh yeah.
But my stomach cannot take it. I mean, I can't take this crap. It has me rolling on the floor. So keep your fingers crossed for tonight's guinea pig test, and we'll see if they can find something because I can't stand this pain. It's just nuts. But anyway, great show.
Thanks, brother.
And thanks for and if anybody asks, I'm alive.
And I'll be doing some collecting stuff, but I'm kind of my budget's kind of busted with sick dogs and me being sick and stuff. So I was like, let's just do the podcast stuff over here. So
you know what? I think you have something here with the podcast.
Yeah.
It's very, very interesting. And
thanks, man. It kind of ties in with it ties in with sci-fi, and it ties in with things that are not so normal, and outer space and UFOs. Of course, it ties in with everything we're into. So
I think a nice kick-ass intro song and everything.
Yeah, thanks. I think also like guys who grow up loving like Star Wars really like that thing that takes you away from reality, and that's what this is all about.
Like just a little escape,
not being afraid to talk about the shit that's like I've been telling you guys some crazy shit the last few episodes, but it's like I'm not making it up. It's just here's my dreams, and they're kind of maybe they're influenced by George Lucas. I don't know, But it's a perfect example of you calling in and saying, hey, I had a similar thing when I was a kid, and we watched my parents would take us to the drive-in and we'd watch a movie, and then the adult movie would come on. They'd be like, all right, you kids, turn around. Oh, we're not leaving. You're not leaving. This is weird. Why are we not leaving?
Right.
And I remember seeing Phantasm. I remember seeing Amityville. I remember seeing Exorcist. And there was rooms in the house, like we had a crawl space. Like, I ain't going in there. There's something. I see green eyes in there. I'm not going in there.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
Can I be myself?
Mm-hmm.
Sure.
Okay, like that part in the movie, and the Exorcist.
Yeah.
Your mother sucks cocks in hell.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe she does. I don't know.
Help me, Father. Help me.
Demi, why you do this to me, Demi?
Demi, why? Why?
Oh.
Oh shit! Now I'm getting chills. I got
don't go watch Exorcist by yourself now. Forget all that.
Like, can you change that channel for me on my TV so I can watch something
dude.
else?
I can just tell you this: when the guy went to look at the house, and the house says, "Get out,"
I'm gone.
Can we look if I need something a little smaller? We got to get out of
Yeah.
here.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Right. Yeah.
Well, hey, best of luck to you, man. Hope for the best. And
I hope you feel better, brother.
Get over that for you.
Yeah, I'll take all the good vibes.
Yeah,
man.
Go. Because I swear to God, I mean, I feel like it's getting pig.
Go gargle some salt water.
Whatever.
Yeah.
Gargle some salt water.
I'm
and
go grab a crucifix.
Throw the crucifix over your shoulder.
I love you.
And then count on.
Hopefully.
No, we don't need any Freddy Krueger.
Hopefully you have one of those healing dreams tonight and you wake up tomorrow and you're better.
All right.
All right, guys.
All right, brother. We'll talk to you.
All right.
Take care.
See you.
Okay, bye.
We're going to get out of here. Thanks a lot. Happy VD Day. Keep on dreaming. Keep on reaching for the stars.
Go hug a loved one.
Go hug a loved one and then tell them an alien stuck their finger in your butt or something cool. Something cool.
Thanks, everyone.
See you guys.